Identity crisis used to be a midlife thing. You'd buy a shiny red sports car, maybe divorce your spouse and call it a day. Now everyone in their 20s is spiraling because their LinkedIn bio doesn't match their Instagram aesthetic. And honestly, why wouldn't we? The world expects you to find yourself. But finding what? We're all just rebranded carbon with Wi-Fi access. Take job interviews. They want you to be authentic, but not too authentic, like sure, talk about your hobbies, but maybe don't mention the existential dread that comes free with capitalism. Or date naps, where your entire existence gets boiled down to a few pictures and one snappy line that somehow screams fun without sounding like a Craigslist ad. Even your coffee order is now a moral statement. Get black coffee, you're a minimalist intellectual, or maybe just broke. Oat milk? Eco-conscious but insufferable. Pumpkin spice? Don't even bother, your soul has already been sold to Instagram. Every choice screams validate me in society. Meanwhile, the universe is out there expanded into a cold, infinite void, and it couldn't care less whether you got almond milk or soy. Psychologist Erik Erikson coined the term identity crisis. But let's be real, he didn't have to deal with TikTok trends changing every 5 seconds. According to him, figuring out who you are is supposed to be this noble journey. But in a world where your personality can be reduced to a BuzzFeed quiz, are you more avocado toast or cold brew? That journey feels less like a pilgrimage and more like a scavenger hunt in an abandoned IKEA. Philosophers like Nietzsche would say this crisis of identity is inevitable. When God dies, so does the script for how to live, but instead of embracing that freedom, we made Pinterest boards. Sartre would probably set us down and say, you're free, but also you're screwed, which is basically the tagline of adulthood. The truth is, none of us knows who we are, and the people who say they do are just better at faking it. Here's the kicker, the harder you chase an identity, the less authentic it feels. Maybe the point isn't to find yourself, but to lose the idea that you're some puzzle to be solved. Because at the end of the day, you're not the job title of the Instagram bio or the coffee order. You're just another speck of stardust in the great void. Yeah, maybe it's a bit nihilistic, but that's kinda beautiful, because then it means you get to decide what matters. What else can signify the torment of a soul that is born the weight of countless masks, shifting, adapting, and bending beneath the weight of iron expectation? Yet now suddenly wrestles with the question of its own face, the clamor of identity. A tempest stirred by the cacophony of voices that surround us demands its tribute, a name, a purpose, a shape to fit the mold of times. Is it any wonder that in this cubicle of becoming much that seems incoherent and malicious arises, that tenderness might cling to even the cruelest notions, to the jagged edges of roles imposed and selves rejected? This entire existence becomes a tragedy of endless reinvention, a revelry of masks that long for their own destruction, a cry from within the labyrinth of selves. Behold the dance of contradictions, a yearning for freedom bound by the fear of obscurity, a desire to stand apart, tethered by the need to belong. Each soul that dares to strip away its borrowed visage faces a barren wilderness, unmarked, untamed, and infinite impossibility. And yet even in the void there stirs the faintest glimmer of meaning, as if the very act of standing amidst the chaos is itself a triumph. What then remains? Only this, that in our perpetual becoming, in the unyielding embrace of this Sisyphean task, there is power, to rise above the fetters of fleeting significance, to declare with a voice unbroken, I am. Embrace the chaos like a cat in a rainstorm. First off, accept that the more you try to find yourself, the more likely you are to get lost in the process. Your identity is like that elusive sock that always disappears in the laundry. You search for it, but by the time you find it, it's so tattered and worn out that you're questioning if it was even worth the effort in the first place. The key is not to find yourself, but to embrace the fact that your true self is like an IKEA bookshelf, poorly assembled, probably missing a screw, and eternally shifts in shape depending on who's around. So how do you fix an identity crisis? You don't. You let it simmer, add a little seasoning and call it character development. As Nietzsche would say, well, probably while yelling, become who you are. And if that means being a walking contradiction who loves Nietzsche and pumpkin spice, so be it. The void doesn't care, so why should you?